Hello, good morning, dear executives. So it so happens that I'm at a school waiting for my daughter who's writing JAMB. So I think she's the second set. The first set started at about 6 o'clock, or is it 7 o'clock? She started at 8:30. So while waiting, I decided to make this video because I have this at the top of my heart. What am I thinking? In the rounds I've been making, the calls, there's something I've noticed. I've noticed that we have some schools, so some of us have schools um, that are struggling in the area of finances. For instance, you want to employ better teachers. You know that the next thing your school needs is better teachers. And there are people I've been talking to over years now, and they've keep managing the teachers they have, the teachers they get, and they're getting the same results. You know how they say, if you want a different result, you have to be ready to do something different. If you're not doing something different and expecting different results, then there's something wrong. Yeah. So, but sometimes we want to keep managing until we're very sure that next move that we think is the next move we should be taking is right, that we are right about it. Sometimes you're not quite right, so you keep wanting to manage it until it becomes obvious that this is the next thing you absolutely have to do. And sometimes it's going to cost a lot, a whole lot more. You're not even sure that your school can bring in that much. Okay, sometimes we have good schools, our facilities are tech, our facilities are top notch, our curriculum is fantastic, even parents like our what we offer, but we just know that the one thing that we need to change, or some things that we need to change, require money. Even if you bring in teachers, good teachers, you bring in the kind of teachers you want, you're going to have to pay them a certain amount of, their remuneration. You have to remunerate them properly. Okay, so if that is the case, how do you do? And then you're wondering, can my school fees, what my school is bringing in now, can my school manage to pay this amount of money to a number of teachers? Let's say you need 4 teachers. You need to employ 4 really good teachers who went to school, went to university, or have some kind of degree, or went to college of education, who are qualified. And then apart from being qualified, some of them also have experience, having taught in bigger schools or in better schools. So they know how to do some of the things you're trying to drive. For instance, you want to teach phonics, you want your reading to be top notch. But you know that you need people who are trained in Montessori, who are trained in phonics, who are trained in reading. When I say training, either by virtue of actual class training that they went for, some kind of training that they went for, or by virtue of practice, maybe by experience. They've worked in schools where, they've learned these things over time. But you need to be able to pay them the amount of money they are being paid at those places, or even better. Now, what we're taught in business school is that you should be able to pay these salaries running for about 3 years. Okay, let's even say you're able to pay those salaries for a whole session without necessarily expecting it from your intake. In other words, you're not going to be waiting for your parents to pay school fees before you pay salaries. So you can go ahead and pay salaries, and then when the money is coming, you reimburse. Okay, so but how do you get the bulk money to champion some of these things? Right now, that's where some counsel comes in. You ask yourself, what are the various avenues that are available to me? One of the avenues is taking loans. If your books are straight, your books are proper, your books are properly done, your accounting is properly done, you can present those. If your accounting is presentable, your books are presentable to a bank, to an institution, to a banking institution, then you can begin to approach the bank. Let's even see what they will say to you. You just never know what is possible. You just never know. But some of us have never really tried. And the truth is, the bigger schools are doing business and outwitting your practice, beating you hands down, because they're able to take loans. They all continue to take loans. Now, what if you don't want to take loans from the banks? You can take loans from a friend. You can approach a friend, approach a colleague, approach a relative. But your books have to be properly presented. You have to have your books properly presented. Now, what is required? Those are the questions you're going to have to ask yourself. What is required for me to obtain a loan? It could be from an individual, from a friend, a colleague, a relative. Okay, but if you don't have your books put together, you will not even have the confidence to approach anybody, not to talk of approaching the banks. Now, another thing is, you can even approach a friend, a colleague, or a family member to partner with you. Okay, so you're not just giving me a loan, in which case I give you the particular amount back, or at a certain time, or with a certain profit. Okay, now with a certain profit, that's some kind of partnership coming in. You can say, okay, come into partnership with me. You may approach another teacher or another veteran teacher who's retiring and says, okay, I want to put my money somewhere, and has some money to put away. Okay, I want to put my money somewhere. I want my money to work for me. You just never know. If you present something good, the person may just opt in, and that helps you. That allays your fears for a season. Call a lawyer. I'm sure you have lawyers in your circle of influence. Call a lawyer, call accountants, speak to them about some of these things. Toss this idea. As a matter of fact, if it's something you're thinking about, talk to me. Let's see what we can come to, with your ideas, and then who next to speak with. But these are other ideas. These are other avenues. These are other options available to you. Are you willing? It is said in business circles that if you're not ready and willing to speak to another person to obtain a loan for your fledgling business, for your business that is suffering, then you're not a business person. A business person is that person who has such a heart for their vision, for their plans, that they're willing to do what it takes to take it to the next level. So if you're a school and you're struggling, you're at that place where you're wondering, oh my, it's giving you pain, it's giving you sleepless nights. Are you willing to speak to a fellow, to speak to someone else and say, hey, this is what my business is. This is what's going on with my business. These are my books. These are my practices. And I need a loan. First of all, how much do you even need? Look at your school. Take good stock of your school, of your practices. Ask yourself, how much do I need? What amount of money are we looking at? What sum? What's the total we're looking at? And then where will these monies go into? How do you see it returning? In how long do you think that you're going to get your returns? Okay, and then when you have your plan together, you're being proactive. We cannot sit down and we have problems and we're losing our school to other schools that are not even doing half as well as we are, just because of something. If you know that this is what your problem is, identify it and let's get proactive about it. We can't just sit down, fold our arms and wait for a chance and hope that something will happen. That's not how the schools that have grown, that's not the way they have grown. At each point in time, they identify what the problem is and then they get proactive about solving the problem. They don't sit down and just wait for the problem to pass. They get proactive. So how proactive are you about to be today? That's what I wanted to, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. There's another one coming. God bless you.